This episode is about your kryptonite food and whether it's causing you to binge eat. Welcome to Confessions of a Binge Eater, the podcast helping women over 50 stop binge eating, feel in control around food, and lose weight naturally without ever needing another diet that makes you feel like a failure. I'm Tricia Nelson, a former binge eater and your host. I recently asked the woman in my binge eating breakthrough one simple question: what's your kryptonite food? The answers came flooding in. One woman said vanilla salted caramel ice cream. Ooh, I knew what she was talking about. Another woman wrote warm bread with whipped butter. Yeah, I'm not too unfamiliar with that one. Someone else said French baguette and butter. I simply can't stop. Another woman wrote homemade chocolate chip cookies. And over, I saw the same answers: chocolate, cookies, bread, chips, candy, and ice cream, of course. As I looked through all the responses, something really stood out to me. Almost everyone named some version of the same foods. Nobody said broccoli. Nobody said grilled chicken. Nobody said apples. But it actually reveals something really important. These foods aren't random. They're highly rewarding foods. They're packed with sugar, refined flour, fat, salt, or some irresistible combination of all of the above. They light up the reward centers of our brains and give us a quick hit of comfort, pleasure, or relief. But here's what I want you to hear. The food is only half the story. Millions of people have a loaf of bread sitting on their counter or a pint of ice cream in their freezer without obsessing about it. They can have one cookie and move on with their lives. So if the food were the whole problem, we'd all react the same way. But we don't. That's why I don't believe your kryptonite food is actually your problem. I believe it's your messenger. Your kryptonite food is trying to tell you something. It's telling you that when you're lonely, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, hurt, exhausted, or even celebrating, you've trained your brain to reach for that food because somewhere along the way, it became your comfort, your reward, your escape, or your companion, or all the above. The food became a solution, not a very good one, but a solution nonetheless. And this is where so many diets get it wrong. They tell you to get rid of the bread, throw out the cookies, never buy ice cream again. And while that might work for a little while, it doesn't solve the reason you needed the food in the first place. If you don't heal what's underneath, your brain simply looks for another comfort. Maybe it's popcorn instead of cookies. Maybe it's wine instead of chocolate. Maybe it's scrolling social media instead of eating ice cream. The object changes, the compulsion doesn't. That's why I always say it's not about the food. It's about what's eating you. So today, I want to leave you with 3 questions. What's the food you hide from your family members? What's the food you can't seem to stop eating once you start? What's the food you've sworn off 100 times only to find yourself eating it again? That's your kryptonite. And instead of asking, how do I stop eating this? Try asking a different question. What is this food doing for me emotionally? What feeling am I trying not to feel? What need am I trying to meet? Because those questions lead to healing. Your kryptonite food isn't proof that you're weak. It's a clue. It's pointing you toward the emotional work that will finally quiet the food noise. And when you heal that deeper layer, something amazing happens. The food loses its grip, not because you're forcing yourself to stay away from it, but because you no longer need it in the same way. That's real freedom. Thanks so much for listening today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who thinks they're simply addicted to food. They may discover the issue isn't the food at all. Until next time, remember, the answers aren't in the pantry, they're within you. And that's where lasting healing begins. If this episode resonated for you, I invite you to take the first step on your healing journey. Go to healyourhunger.com and you'll find a quick quiz which will tell you if you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between, by giving you a personalized score and next steps for how you can begin your healing journey. I'm so excited to support you on healing your heart and feeding your soul. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of Confessions of a Binge Eater.